Okay, we're recording.
Fantastic. Okay, here we are. So beautiful to see you again, Shae. Really looking forward to our conversation today. So we've been really discussing what we're going to talk about kind of this week, and we really kind of want to dive into this discussion of, I don't know, what did we even title it? What's our title even?
Self-talk, right? How do you talk to yourself? Yeah, what is the title? I'm not exactly
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. It's really like how do you live your truth? That's really what it is that we want to get to. How do you live your truth? How do you get to a point where you're able to just truly be you and live your truth and live an authentic existence? I think that there's times that we say we want that, we say we're going to strive to that, but what does that even mean to live an authentic, honest existence? So that's really what we want to talk about today. Really get down into it. So
already I'm just having like a million downloads and my brain's going like all the directions that we could take this, This is like truly a 6-hour podcast,
yeah,
that could talk
that could
about
be.
this in so many different facets of life. How can you
Yeah.
live your truth in each facet of your life? Because it's easy to live and not necessarily easy, that's probably not the appropriate word, but it's you're supported more in your home life to be yourself, right? Because you kind of pick those people who you're around. But what about your work life? What about when you're at the store? What about, all the situations that your being could be put in? Yeah, how do you live your truth?
Right. Because like we play all these different roles and we've been conditioned to have all these different masks and all these different hats we wear and all these different characters depending on what's around us. We adapt ourselves a lot of times to be basically people please or just conform. We want to fit in. We don't like to stand out necessarily. Like some of us are more comfortable with that than others, but many of us don't really like to stand out. So we change ourselves to fit the situation, to fit the person. And what ends up happening over time is just we can't really be satisfied. We really can't be our true selves. We can't really get to our purpose in life if we're playing somebody else's game, essentially. If we're doing somebody else's path and if we're doing it because somebody else wants us to or whatever. So we had talked about coming up with a few questions to really ask ourselves, to really find out for yourself. First of all, are you living an honest life? Are you living an authentic existence? What's that look like? What's that feel like? So maybe we'll just like go back and forth on our questions that we thought of. So
absolutely. Before we even go into that, I would just, something that just came through is just, it's like every time, and this is how I feel, this may not be true for everybody, but it's every single time I act in a way that isn't true to my own spirit, it's like I get covered in like another layer of dirt, right? And it's just like another layer that I got to scrub back through. So what we're trying to do is strip it down, is to really tap into this pure spirit that we are, the source energy. It's every single time, and again, this is just how I feel, it's like every time I act in a way that isn't true to my own soul, it's like this, it's just a cover, a layer that then I had to break through, because it's why did I do that? Why didn't I act accordingly to my truth? And then there's so many layers to that. Even
it changes your frequency, it changes your vibration in that moment, and you feel it and you know it. And so like that leads actually to my first question of what to ask yourself to find out really, are you living this honest life? And that question is, what is your lowest vibration? So there's a couple reasons why I'm asking that. What I want you to do is think about, and this is not necessarily a pleasant thought, because sometimes our lowest vibration concerns traumas and things that other people truly did to us. But that's really what we're asking ourselves here. And that's really, it's really important to get down to that. So when we think about the people, the place, the situation, the experience that actually makes us to feel the worst in life, it's like literally our lowest frequency. We just, we don't like it. When we figure out what that is, then we have to find out, is this experience, is this thing, this low vibration, is that on us? Or is that on someone else? Is that
Mm,
truly on someone else? And
mm,
so we got to ask ourselves some really hard questions on that. Because a lot of times we really like it to be on other people. We really, really do. And there's truly times when it is. Like if this thing that your low vibration is about, it happened to you or something that occurred to you, someone did something to you, especially if you're a child, this is not your fault. This is on them. But a lot of times we feel a lot of shame and embarrassment and a lot of those type of feelings around these incidents. So therefore we tend to own them
yeah.
because it's hard to release. So that's where I say you have to really, really get down to figuring out, is this on you or not? Is it something you've said or done? Or is it something someone else said or did to you that you had no control over, and it's created this shame, this embarrassment, whatever it is. I'm kind of looking at a little bit of notes here because I actually have this really fantastic quote that I want to read, that really kind of helps us get to this question of, is this on us or not?
Mhm.
So I'm going to read from Brene Brown, famous shame researcher. Thank you so much for your work. And this is what she says, that there's a difference between shame and guilt. She says, I believe that there's a profound difference between shame and guilt. I believe that guilt is adaptive and helpful. It's holding something we've done or failed to do up against our values
Mm.
and feeling psychological discomfort. So let me get that again. It's holding something we've done or failed to do up against our values, and we feel the psychological discomfort. We feel that cognitive
That
dissonance.
is
We
guilt.
feel that, we see it. We know that that's not who we think we are. We know when we've done that. Okay. She says, then I define shame, however, as the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. Something we've experienced, done, or failed to do makes us unworthy of connection. Very different. She says, I don't believe shame is helpful or productive. In fact, I think shame is much more likely to be the source of destructive, hurtful behavior than the solution or cure. I think the fear of disconnection can make us dangerous. And so she's so right about that. And so this is where we really need to get to, where we come understanding or realization that if there is something that someone actually did to us that's not on us, it's actually, we need to put the blame on them where it lies. And also to understand that there's certain things that, control what you can control.
Mhm.
So then it's unfortunately, it feels like we bear the burden of those things. We do bear the burden. And really, the only way to unburden ourselves is to forgive and let go, which is really, really hard to do. And it's hard to do either way, whether it's something that's been done to us or it's something we've done. But we have to get to, what is it? If we can get down to figuring out these low vibrations in our field and slowly just start to work through and clean those up, we're going to live an easier life. We're going to live a happier life. We're going to be able to, imagine a lifetime or a life where you just think about to yourself, wow, I don't have one single thing I feel weird about at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel
I'm
weird about anything
open.
I've
I'm
said
open
or
to
done, or,
accepting that reality. I'm open
you know
to.
what I'm saying? Like, that's what we're trying to go for here, where I don't feel weird about one single thing, interaction that I've had, anything I've done. You can't control other people. You can't. But if I can get my vibration cleaned up where I own what I need to, and I'm able to release what I don't own, and that's almost another whole show, how to
Oh
release
my
what you
God.
don't own,
I, I mean, everything that
right?
you're saying right now, I have like two things keep popping up. One, we have the power of choice. As human beings, we have the power of choice. Number two, those feelings of shame that often are just a projection of whatever. So if the situation happens to you from someone else, right? It's a projection of their shame that is then projected onto you. And if everything is energy, then we have the ability to not accept that as soon as we become conscious of exactly this difference between the guilt and the shame, and that we
Right.
aren't our experiences. We are just the observer of the experience. As soon as we are able to do that, we can then reject the energy that is coming off of this other person. And this is how the cycle of violence, right?
Yeah.
It's continued because now I have feelings of shame. I project them onto my child, and they same. It's our
Right.
awareness about the situation that then can allow us to step back, no longer accept that energy from that situation, from that person, from whatever it is, and transmute it so that you can live in your higher vibration.
Yeah, absolutely. And also then allowing yourself to handle the things that you actually need to handle,
Mm,
because you know what that is. And I think that stuff eats people up. I mean,
yeah.
just the regret of how they've acted or the things they've said, that they've been too prideful perhaps, or just like embarrassed to go back and fix.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
you acted a certain way, and it's embarrassing sometimes to go to somebody and be like, yeah, my behavior is not okay. Or to just own immaturity, or just, our humanness just pops up on us.
Our human and knowing that it's
you
always
know?
going to, giving yourself that grace when your human does show, but
Yeah.
also being very honest and truthful with yourself,
With
and
yourself on it.
yes, and surrounding yourself with people who make it easy for you to be truthful. There's always going
Yeah.
to be people and scenarios that really, um, what is the word I'm looking for? Challenge your honesty, right? But just use that as a stepping stone to go higher. And
Yeah.
if you don't use it as a stepping stone, give yourself some grace. You're just human. Try again
True.
next time. Try again next time.
Try
And
again
as
next
long as
time.
you're aware of the choices that you made, why you made
Yes.
them, the 5 steps back or whatever, as long as
Right.
you're aware of it, that's what you're aiming for. So, forgive yourself for not maybe
Right.
doing the thing that you thought you should have done in the moment. Okay, that's where it's like be in the be in the present moment. What can you do right now? And the past is the past.
Right.
The
You
future
can't
is
you
yet
can't
to
change it.
be. Can't change it. So just in this present moment, what can I do? Which
Right.
is
Right.
it's harder than it seems, right? Because we have all this accumulation of stories in our brain from our past, ideas of what our future will look like. Um, that's the biggest challenge of all, right? Is to really be present in this moment and just do your best right now.
Yeah. Right. Just generally, I think we're probably all doing the best we can, but it's just a habit of telling others or putting our energy on others and saying that somehow what's happening to us is them, when
Mhm.
so much of it is us. So much of it is us. So that's one of the real ways to get to your own truth, is just to ask yourself those questions. What do I feel weird about? Is that me or not?
Yep.
Okay, so what's your first question that you came up with, Shay?
Okay, to very counter your question, mine is, what does your highest vibration look like? And
Very
how is that
nice.
connected to
Okay.
your truth? Right? Because if
Okay.
everything is energy, like we've been saying, your highest vibration seems like this ultimate potential of what life can be for you. And so, what does that look like? And it comes back to being very honest with yourself and kind of shedding those stories that have been told to you that you have
Yeah.
accumulated in your head, and really getting down to what is my purpose in this life, and what does the life that I desire most, what does that look like?
What brings me joy? What feels
Yes.
good? I mean, I
Yes.
truly believe that what we're inspired to do, it's like that's just part of our character. This is
Yep.
part of who we are. And there's a lot of things we don't do because we're afraid what other people will think or say. So this is such a good question. What brings me the higher vibration? What is it? And am I doing it? Am I willing to do it? Am I willing to just embrace that? Or have I set up a series of limiting beliefs surrounding, am I telling myself I can't do that, or I can't have that, or that's for other people, but I really just admire that. But I don't, it's not me. That's not for me because I'm not good enough or smart enough or rich enough or popular enough, or On and on. I'm not loved enough. I'm not worthy. Like on and on
What
of these things
obstacles
that
are
we
you putting
say.
in your own way? What obstacles are you putting in your own way? Why have you put them there? And how can you remove those and really step into your fullest potential?
So how do you get to your highest vibration, Shay? How do you figure out, well, what is it? What does it feel like? What do you do?
Be with yourself. I think it's just a very strip it down and be very honest with yourself about what it is you want and just think about. For me, what I've done is just a lot of journaling on what I desire. And a lot of people, even as a yogi, I think there's a connotation that if you're desiring something, it's like this grabbing for more. But it's not like that, right? It's we came here to live in our purpose. So it's like, what are the things that you really desire to do, to be, and
Right.
just giving that a thought. But it's really just truly just being with yourself and shedding all the stories, the conditioning from everybody else, and just it comes back to just being with yourself. Find your center. What does it look like to live in your highest vibration? Is
Yeah.
That's a hard question to answer, right? And it's going to be different for
Yeah.
every single person. It's going to be different for every. I mean, there's so many paths that people can even go down to find what it is brings them their highest vibration. So I don't even know if I can answer that question fully. It's going to look different for every single being out there, I think.
It definitely is. And I think it's also, are you allowing yourself? Do you ever let yourself, do you stop yourself from
Hmm.
going to your highest vibration because um you're afraid, or like we are saying, embarrassed, or somebody told you, um someone made fun of you for it one time, or someone told you can't do that, or that's not okay, or whatever. It's just the programming, it's the conditioning, all those social situations we get into that we don't even realize. We might be able to think through and trace it back to like that event that happened in second grade or whatever. We talked about this last week a little bit of how those things stick with you. So it's like us parents are known for like crushing down the vibrations of our kids sometimes because we think that it reflects on us. So we don't want our kids to be too weird. We don't want our kid to stand out or anything.
But also
So we
because
tell our kid not to do that. Don't wear that. Don't act like that.
But also because parents are just humans too,
We're
right?
just humans. We're just humans. I was thinking about the other day about how everybody has a certain level of childhood trauma. And like, I'm sitting here as your mom, and like, obviously, I wanted to create a life for you and a childhood for you where you wouldn't experience any trauma, but like, there's just no possible way for me to protect you from every single situation. So, regardless of like how good or bad your parent is, yeah, I think we all experience some childhood trauma, and it's just that loss of innocence. It's just that moment when you realize that, wow, things aren't, not everybody's nice, for example. All
And
right.
I really think I heard this saying before that trauma doesn't know its size, right? So it doesn't matter what it could be. The most minute thing to me could be super traumatic for the person sitting next to me. So I think that's just part of
Yes,
being human, is that we share this collective trauma. I mean,
we
truly,
do.
from
We
our
do.
ancestors, from
Right.
the time that we are alive right now, we share this collective trauma. And it goes back to, if we're all just mirrors of each other, if we are just all one of the same energy, then of course, if one of us is traumatized, all of us are.
Right. In the same way that if one of us can bring our vibration up, it brings everybody else. Same thing.
Exactly.
Is somebody with the unhealed trauma is affecting all of us. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's where we go to talk to ourselves a little bit. So yeah, I love that question. What's your highest vibration? Because we know what that feels like to be in a high vibration. It feels like
Mhm.
bliss. It's like blissful when we can get to that flow state, even
Yep.
when we're just able to allow and not have to worry so much about what do the others think. Which is
Like,
just it, we stop ourselves so of doing so many things that we want to because of that whole thought of what will people think.
yeah, so I encourage you listeners to just journal this. What does your absolute dream life look like? If you could have everything go your way, what does that look like? What are the obstacles in your way of living that life? And know that you have the power of choice and you have the power to change your life and be anything that you want to be.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Okay, so this leads me to my next question, which is kind of going back to how I was asking about that low vibration. So my follow-up question is, does this low vibration lead me to question my self-worth? Because I think a lot of times we talked last week about your self-talk and the things that you say to each other, or to yourself, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So does the thing that you've decided, those low vibrations you're working through, does it, your conclusion about what happened there, does that lead back to a feeling of self-worth? Does that lead back to a conclusion that you're not worthy? And if that's it, if that's what you're getting to, just understand that that's not correct, that there's something flawed in your thinking there, because you're a divine being. And you actually don't have there's nothing flawed in yourself. You have conditionings and things that have occurred to you over this life and other lifetimes. Perhaps you're bringing other things from other timelines and lifetimes with you that are surfacing up. So those thoughts that lead you back to say to yourself, I'm somehow not worthy, we got to watch those, and we got to really pay attention when we're doing that, because a lot of times we don't pay attention. And we really put it on ourselves, and we actually tell ourselves we're not worthy. So when the questions come to you, if you're asking, am I worthy as a being? Do I deserve love? Do I deserve care? Do I deserve attention? The answer is yes, 100% you do. And there's nothing you have to do or be to deserve all those things. So don't allow yourself to tell yourself you're not worthy. So when you're asking yourself those deep questions, and it's really shadow work, which what we're talking about here.
Yes.
This idea of shadow work is just getting down to those dark, deep parts of yourself and being willing to face them. Because a lot of times we're not willing. So we do all sorts of things to avoid looking at our shadow.
And I mean, that's why I encourage just sitting with yourself so much, is because that's when your thoughts you can just allow your thoughts to be a stream, allow them to be a movie, and really bring your awareness to each of these moments that really are this ladder that brought you to where you are. So often, like you said, we're distracted. I'm alone. What am I going to do? I'm going to scroll on Instagram for 2 hours until I'm not alone, or I'm going to, whatever it is, whatever the distraction is, it's so easy to use that instead of, how about I sit here and think about what has happened to me and allow those things to transmute.
And to be grateful for all the things, because what are you doing when you're scrolling is you start to compare yourself. And you start to say, well, I don't have that. I don't feel that way, or I don't look like that, or all of the things that we do to compare ourselves to others. And it doesn't help our self-worth at that point. So then we have to pay attention to when we're really allowing those thoughts to really get ourselves down. When we really get into the point of like the self-pity wallowing thing, where it's like, this thing has occurred that truly doesn't feel good, and we can't get ourselves up out of it. We just get into like this victim sort of psychology of, just being hurt, just grief, just pain. We've all been to those places. So it's not, I don't think we're suggesting that it's super easy to pop yourself out of those. But it's really just striving forward and understanding that this is a moment, everything shall pass. The only constant in the universe we know about is change. Everything does change. We just move forward. We just try to flow. Yes. You know what I'm saying? We just try to accept the best we can. And all of the things that occur to us that aren't in our control, well, we just have to accept that that's what it is, that we can control what we can control. So when we're going about trying to clean those vibrations up, if it's something like, hey, I need to ask for forgiveness for something I've done, and I go to this person that I've wronged, and I ask for forgiveness, and let's just say they don't accept it. Okay, that's okay. That's got to be okay on them. That's on them to do with it what they will. If I truly, in all sincerity, have tried to apologize and let it go, I've done what I can. That will clean your vibration up. That will lead you to more feelings of worthiness and more trust in yourself and more confidence in yourself and your ability to clean those things up. Because also, I think when we get into the depths, a lot of times we don't see our way out and we feel like it's too much.
Yes.
So we're not even able to take one single step. So we don't. And we do the sort of the whirlpool of like self-doubt and self-pity. So that's not obviously where we want to end up. But if we make it a practice of asking ourselves, what's going on with me? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling that? Okay. Is there something I can do to rectify it? Which is actually my other question. We kind of already talked about this a little bit. Is there something I can do? What would that look like? Am I willing to do it? And I bet you sometimes we're not, right? Kind of, you talked a little bit about, we're humans, and sometimes we're just like, maybe we can't do it. But at the same time, just getting to the allowance, just getting to the sense of, I'm going to try to take the step forward and make the steps to sort of clean my life up a little bit. And sometimes I'm going to be successful and sometimes I'm going to fail. But that's just the way of human life.
And may I just suggest a beautiful, really ritual that was taught to me by my lovely coach, Leah. I hope somebody is counting how many times I say this during this podcast. If everything is energy, right? Then you don't even necessarily need to say these apologies face to face to this person, and you don't need to forgive somebody face to face, right? Create this ritual about all the things unsaid, right? Everything on your mind that's been left unsaid. Give forgiveness, accept forgiveness, let it go. That can be a beautiful way to, first of all, take control of your own life, because you don't need, if everything is energy, do that. Send that energy out into the world.
Right.
And then
they're going to get it because we're all connected.
Because
they will get connected.
It. Yeah. So I guarantee that without your even conscious awareness, that person who you're energetically forgiving is going to feel lighter as well. Or that you're accepting forgiveness from. So just do that for yourself. The words only need to be for you, because they aren't only yours. If everything is energy and we are in this big ball of that, then it doesn't matter whether or not you're saying it face to face. If it makes you feel better, if you feel obliged to do so, of course, do that. It can also be that can be very freeing. Some people may not be able to feel that they can give full forgiveness or accept full forgiveness unless it is an actual interaction. But I encourage you to just try that beautiful exercise of, taking control of your own life and just giving and receiving freely without the binds of having another human being be there with you. You're free to speak any words that you wish. Let the person know how you feel, how the situation has let you feel, and then forgive and forget, and maybe not forget, but forgive and move on.
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. I love that, because sometimes it's not even safe for us to go approach somebody. Sometimes people are gone, and it's not possible too. So what do you do with that energy if the person's passed away already? I love that. So just write the letter anyway.
Right, because we all have these energetic cords to every situation and person that we've ever interacted with. So in a way, it is essentially just cutting that energetic cord between you and that situation, or you and that person. And it goes back to, what are you allowing to really truly affect you. You can say, no, I'm no longer allowing this to bring me down. I am now going to transmute this so that I can bring my energy higher. What did you learn from the situation? What are you actually grateful for about the situation? These are all things that you can journal, you can think about, you can talk
Yeah.
about, that can really help you transmute these low vibrational states or situations in your life, and so that it helps propel you forward.
Yeah. And we know that sometimes it's hard to be grateful in the face of
Oh
grief
yeah.
or pain, or when you've been harmed or wronged. It's not an easy thing to do, but you carry that burden otherwise. It
Mhm.
doesn't, if you think about it like this, if I refuse to forgive, let's say you do something that makes me mad, Shay, and I refuse to forgive you, I carry that.
Yeah.
You might not even know. Number one. And sometimes we'll do that. We'll just carry it around or whatever. But like, even if you do know, it's actually still on me. I'm still carrying that energy around, and it's up to me to carry it or not.
Right.
And whether or not you accept it, or we resolve it in some way face to face, you're right. It doesn't matter, as long as energetically you're not carrying it around, I've also seen or heard an exercise where you picture, basically, if you think about the idea of a soul contract, right?
Mhm.
This thought that we make these soul contracts before we come here to have these situations go down, and actually we make these soul contracts here on earth. We tell people things, we agree to things, we vow things. Do you know what I'm saying? That we go back on sometimes. We
Mhm.
definitely do. So this exercise can has you close your eyes and picture essentially ripping up the soul contract and saying, I'm done with this.
Yep.
Because sometimes it's not reasonable, these contracts that we've made, right? It doesn't feel reasonable here on earth to us. We're like, we don't understand. Why would I agree to do that? Why would I agree to that relationship? That feels nuts or whatever. So if that's what it is, just energetically rip that up and say, you know, I'm not, I'm done with this contract. And if there was a lesson in it that I didn't get, then I'm probably going to circle around sometime in life and get that somewhere else. Okay. And that's just what it is, though. And sometimes you don't get it that first time, and you got to pick it up from somebody else, some other situation that you could get it or accept it a little easier there.
Mhm.
But if we just rip that contract up and just know we're done, and just cut that cord and truly actually let it go, actually let it go. No, don't just do it and then you're still revisiting and you're still, you're still
Yeah.
energetically tying yourself in. Actually let it go. So I love that. So we can do that for ourselves, whether or not the other person participates, or and it could be just a situation that we're trying to let go of, where it's not even a entity we're trying to forgive. We're trying to, get rid of a energetics of a place or
Right.
something. Who knows, right? Who
And,
knows?
and because we come with these energies from our past lives, wherever our soul, the other bodies that our soul has been inside, right? We have these
Right.
beautiful energy channels in our body, these 7 beautiful energy channels, the chakras, which is a whole another episode within itself. But another exercise that you can do, since I guess we're talking about exercises, I can't not share this as well, is sit with yourself, be in your body, bring yourself back to your center, and think about a situation or a person or whatever energies that you're trying to transmute, right? To allow you to change your perception of that situation. See where that sits in your body. Is it in your gut? Is it in your heart? Is it at your very root? Is it in your head? Where does that lie? And then you can just energetically imagine yourself cleaning out this area in your body.
Right.
And it might not even you might not even have to think about a situation if you just sit with yourself and focus on these energy centers, right? That follow the column of your spine all the way up from your root to your crown of your head. If you just sit and bring yourself back to center, you can feel where it feels clogged, and you don't even
Yeah.
necessarily need to know the situation to transmute it, to clear it out. And you'll feel a release. You will absolutely feel a release. So that's just another exercise that you can do to raise your vibration.
Yeah, no, fantastic. It's those things that are fear-based and shame-based, right?
Yeah.
It's like the fear-based things that we do, all those fear-based type things that that energy that sits inside our body, or all the shame-based stuff, which we already talked about the shame. So that's the stuff we got to clear out. That's
Yeah.
the stuff that we don't a lot of times consciously realize. We
Yeah.
kind of know about it. We kind of know it's there. We avoid certain types of situations, but maybe we're not fully aware of why we do a certain thing or where we're acting a certain way. And so much of this is just self-protection. So much of it leads us back to self-protection, but really just self-love and just respecting and honoring our own energies. And are we doing that? Do we allow ourselves to care for ourselves? Do we allow ourselves to feel what we feel about situations? Do we allow ourselves to speak our feelings?
Yeah.
That's kind of another one of my questions is, do you say what you feel? Or if you notice that you have a pattern of actually hiding or not expressing your feelings, something's going on there. You need to note that to yourself. Something's happening. If you don't feel you can say what you think or feel, with the people that you're dealing with, hey, something's up, because you should be able to, especially like with your partners, your family, you should fully be able to be yourself, fully. And
Well,
you shouldn't have to change your thoughts or feelings or whatever to placate or to accommodate others, or to a lot of times the things that we do to just fill our needs. So I'm feeling needy, so I'm going to try to get it from a person. I'm going to try to get this energy from a person. These things don't work out in our favor eventually.
Yeah, and two things I'd like to say is, one, acknowledge that there's many forms of expression, right? So you can verbally express to somebody, you can
Yeah,
write something, you can create a piece of art, you can write a song, you can make a dance, there's so many ways to express the
many
emotions
ways.
that you're feeling in order to transmute them. And this also just leads me to my next question, which is,
Yeah.
how many people do you know who are living in their truth? Because if we're
Okay.
following along with the idea that we are all just mirrors of each other, right? And that we have the power of choice, and that maybe we have a contract with this person that we signed before we got into this earthly body, all these things. How many people do you know who are in their truth? Because if your vibe is your tribe, how can you seek out the people who are living in their truth? Because that's going to allow you to live in your truth even more. I think about the people that I surround myself with, right?
Yeah.
And for the most part, my core people, they speak their truth. And I know that part of it is that I'm a very safe person, and so that people really do feel like they can express themselves freely with me. That's what I try to make everybody who is in my circle. I want them to feel that way. So I know that part of it is just me. But isn't that the beauty of it, is that I surrounded myself with these people who can be themselves with me, and I can be myself with them, and I can live my truth. And so how can you find, first off, just recognizing the people in your life who aren't living their truth, of
Yeah.
realizing that that's on them, and that you don't have to accept those feelings at all. And this is where a lot of our conditioning comes from, right? Is
Yeah.
that other people in our lives who we're listening to, who we're talking to, their opinions or thoughts rub off onto us. And so how can you seek out others who are really, really living their truth? What do you think about that?
I mean, I love that, this whole idea of the mirror, because we collect mirrors around us, the people that we have in our life, we
Yeah.
project and all of these things. So that's so good. So if you notice that your interactions are something's going on, there's tension there, there's some negative energy. Wow, yeah, you might want to check yourself because maybe you're mirroring, you're just not willing to see too.
Yes. And on
I
top of
love that.
that, it's like, we're all just humans, but are you surrounding yourself with people who are
Yeah,
depressed, people who are
right.
anxious, somebody who, has bad habits, or somebody who is just doing low vibrational things, who are constantly dragging you down? Okay. We know the people in our lives who, when we go around them, we're doing things that we normally wouldn't do on our own. So, who are those people, and how can I switch and surround myself with people who are just trying to raise their vibration? Because inevitably, if you're living in your truth, your vibration is much higher than somebody who is not living their truth, right? So let's surround ourselves. And this is what we really want to do with this podcast, right? Is like connect people. And first of all, just give them high vibrational content, but then also connect them so that we can create this tribe of people who really want the best and the most and to reach their highest potential in this life.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this reminds me of that video I actually sent you earlier today. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it yet. It was Guru, and he was talking about the difference between when you have need-based relationships versus when you're trying to get happiness or get your needs met versus you're trying to expand your own joy. I was like, what? That just seems like so obviously like correct to me, where it's like, wow, actually that's what I need to strive for, is just to spread joy and be light. And then I'm going to attract that instead of trying to seek out others to fill an unmet need. I was like, wow, okay. Because that's what we do. That's what we do. We have unmet needs. We try to seek out somebody to fill that need. And then we ask ourselves, why isn't this relationship working? It's like, well, okay, because it's based on you all trying to get something from each other versus you all just trying to expand the joy and love in your heart and just being in each other's presence and being in the now. And this is true of partners, of friendships, of your family, all of that. I was like blown away by that thought. I was like, what, like how many, I'm just asking myself, how many relationships have I had that are need-based? I'm doing this because I have an unmet need. And I feel like you might be able to give it to me. That's a very different relationship than, hey, I'm a being of light and I have a bunch of joy. Do you want to share joy with me?
Yes. And just on top of that, right? That's you giving without expecting to receive. Yes. And I just heard this thing last week. It was Aubrey Marcus who I was listening to his podcast, and he had mentioned the idea that, you know, we'll have rituals, or we'll have, you know, a party. It's someone's birthday party, right? And so everybody there is giving to this person, so this person's receiving. But he said what you don't really realize is that when you're giving, you are receiving more than you could ever receive from another person just by giving. So it's that whole idea of, let me just give my joy regardless, not expect anything in return, and know that I'm actually receiving more than anything I could ask for, just by me being able to reach the state where I can just give.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love it. I think that if we could all just get to that point, we would literally change the world if we all started out with just the intent of, I'm going to spread good things. I'm going to spread love and joy and peace and positivity. And that's all I want to do. And if I spread that and I give that, the universe will give it back to me. It will. It can't help, because that's all I'm reflecting. The universe just reflects what I am. If I'm love, I get love back. That's where it's like, if I'm hurt, I get hurt. If I'm angry, I get anger back. If I'm in pain, I get pain back. But if I love, I'm going to get love back. If I'm generous, I'm going to get back abundance. If do you know what I'm saying? If I'm willing to give and I don't worry about what's mine, is this mine? Then this is what changes lives. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. And it goes back to our very first episode, or maybe it was the second one. Whatever one, we talked about your gifts, right?
Yeah.
Identify your gift. How can you serve the world with that? And how can you just give to the people? Literally, service is giving. So how can you do that? And then exactly what you said, the universe just mirrors exactly what you're given. So what a beautiful cycle. Yeah, absolutely. I like this cycle better than the Shane cycle, you know?
Oh, for sure. It's not good. Let's get stuck in a joy cycle.
Yes. The joy cycle. Absolutely. Let's just jump on the joy cycle and release all the shame that has been passed down.
Yeah, 100%. All right. I think that I got all of my questions, but I think that was all of mine. Did you have any different ones? Did you have any more questions?
I didn't have any more written down. No, let me just take a moment and just see if anything else wants to come through. We're talking about how can you live your truth.
Yeah. Right. I mean, to me, I think what we're all just really trying to get to is that point of being okay with yourself. and just being at peace and just being, peaceful. And when you know that you're living a life of just like peace and contentment and that your intent is good, then that's all you can really do.
Yeah.
It's all you can do is just try to be your most self. The world needs you. They need your energy. We need your energy. We need your unique spirit, your unique signature, your unique frequency. We don't need you to be one of all of us.
Yeah.
Like we're already all of us. We already all are all connected. So the more you squish yourself down, the more you shrink yourself, the more you hide yourself, the more you don't allow your true being to come out and be in this world, in this earth, in this existence, then it just makes it a little harder to live. It makes it a little harder to get through this earth game. We set up all these barriers for ourselves, it seems like. So we just got to work on personally just knocking those barriers down.
Yeah.
And getting to that place of peace within ourselves. So it doesn't matter what other people say or think about us if we're content with ourselves, honestly.
I'm just like living in
Okay.
this timeline where I feel like I'm living my highest vibration and living my most truth.
Right.
And it feels good there. It feels really, really delicious there. Let's get there. We can get there together.
Yeah,
The more of us that get
absolutely.
there, the more of us that get there, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay, so this sort of feels like the end of our conversation. It's been really, really good. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to us. We would love to hear any comments that you have for us.
Comments,
Otherwise,
feedback, questions, concerns.
right. We're going to continue to put videos out every Monday. And we really are glad to have you with us.
You
So.
know, we didn't begin with the breath, so I would love to share a collective, just 3 inhales and exhales all together. Any way that feels good to you. That's how I would love to end this podcast. Thank you, dear listener, for coming, for being with us. You're loved, you're special. I'm so happy you're here with us. Okay, I'm going to inhale. Exhale. Twice more. One more time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you.
Little Aku. Hey. All right.